How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the Gear Vault. I'm Wes, and today in the vault we've got a copper bullet company that's peddling lead ammunition. So one of the bigger stories in the outdoor industry in the last few days has been the fact that Barnes has released their new Harvest collection, which is basically a lead offering from Barnes, which is pretty crazy because Barnes has historically been, monolithic only bullets. And so what they've done is they've topped these new cartridges with the Sierra tipped Game King, which is your kind of standard cup and core type bullet. So it's kind of strange, kind of different, but I think that there's some good things that can come from this. So when I first heard the news that Barnes was doing a lead offering, I was a little bit taken back. Barnes's whole thing is they do lead-free ammunition. They do monolithic, and they do it super well. I think a lot of people hear lead-free and they think of it as like a almost like derogatory term. They think California, they think, mandates saying you have to have lead-free. But a lot of people, on the other hand, actually think lead-free is one of the best options out there. And of all the people that make lead-free ammunition, I think Barnes is probably the best out there, and they've certainly got probably the most experience with it, and so they do a super good job with it. And so why would they want to offer lead, when that's their whole business has been built on copper? Truthfully, I think it comes down to two things. I think one, it is the fact that when people hear lead-free, they sometimes just they don't think of like your standard, nostalgic hunting ammunition. They think of, oh, California is making their guys use lead-free, and it's gonna be everywhere now. And they just think of it like that. And there might be some truth to that, but in all honesty, it is a super good option for bullets as far as the monolithic stuff. And so I think the one thing they wanted to offer was just the last sliver of pie that they were missing out on as a company. So from a business standpoint, I'm sure they just wanted to make sure that they were covering all of their bases across all the market segments. There's the people that want lead-free ammunition, they were one of the top contenders. But for the people that wanted a bullet with lead in it, they couldn't buy Barnes because Barnes didn't offer anything. So they were just probably covering their bases. And secondly, and probably in my opinion, the most important reason why Barnes did this is because of price. Now, I don't know if monolithic bullets cost that much more to manufacture. It almost seems like they maybe do. I don't know why. If you know why, let me know. But in general, Barnes factory loaded ammunition is pretty expensive. You're in the $50 to $60 range for 308 type ammo, so it's definitely on the upper end of price. And so I think to a lot of people that are using this stuff, they'll go to their local store, pick it up, and just do a deer hunt in the fall, and that's it. It's probably hard for them to make that justification when there's options out there like your Federal Fusions and your Core Locks and stuff that offer a really similar experience as far as it kills deer dead, but it does it for half the price. And if we're not talking $5 difference, we're talking, people can go buy a box of 308 ammo for under $30. Why would they spend almost $60 for something that's going to get them the same result? And I'm talking like a guy that goes out, hunting 200 yards, sits for one season. They're not hunting all year long. They're not hunting all around the world for different species. They're a whitetail hunter that goes out for a week or two in the fall, kills a deer at 100 or 200 yards, and that's it. It's just hard to justify that price. And like I said, we're not talking only a reduction of $5 or so. From what I'm seeing, it looks like your prices are going to be around $40, maybe 38 on the low end, up to 45 for some of the cartridges with more powder capacity. So we're actually talking a reduction of maybe like $25, $30 over their standard, just Vortex lead-free offerings. It's almost cutting the price in half. And again, as someone who does like Barnes bullets and I've used them in the past, I was pretty shocked when I seen that they were coming out with a lead offering, and I was honestly more shocked to see that that lead offering was from a different manufacturer. You would think that they would build their own leaded bullet if they were going to do it, but in an effort to keep costs down, I'm guessing this is the way they had to do it. Say, they take a company like Sierra who makes a good bullet and who isn't the most expensive bullet out there. It's just a good budget option. they've already got everything set up. They've got all the processes in place and all the machinery in place to do this. So it's probably, you know, at least in the short term, less expensive for Barnes to go that route and just use someone else's bullet versus putting in all the effort and R&D and machining and tools and personnel to bring in this whole new line of bullets. They're just going to use, you know, another company that does a good job. So it looks like right off the get-go, Barnes is going to offer the Harvest Collection in 223, 243, 270 Winchester, 30-06, 300 Winchester, 308 Winchester, 6.5 Creedmoor, 6.5 PRC, and 7 rim mag. So they're covering their bases pretty well, I would say. And honestly, it looks like in general, they're going for a more heavy for caliber bullet, which I think is good, because one of the questions I had whenever I seen that it was that tipped Game King is, you know, that bullet at high velocities doesn't hold together that well. I mean, it kills deer, but you get that explosive result that you sometimes get from other cup and core bullets. And so I don't think it's one where velocity is your friend. I think a little bit slower is probably a little bit better with that. And so they did go on the upper end of weights. You've got a 69 grain 223. Your 30-06 and 300 are in 180s. Your 308's a 165 grain. 140 on the Creedmoor, 145 on the 6.5 PRC, which I think that's pretty nice. That's definitely one of the higher weight PRCs that you're going to get out there. And you got a 150 in the rim mags. Finding velocities for this ammo is a little bit tough right now. I'm sure if you've seen them at the show or whatever, you've seen the back of the box, I don't know. But as far as just online, it's hard to find the velocities. But I was able to find the speeds for their 308. That's the 165 grain. They've got it at 2680. So for a 165 at 2680, obviously it's probably a 24-inch barrel. It seems like they're loading it in the mid ranges, right? Like it's not slow, but it's not fast. So my thought is it's probably going to be a pretty accurate round. It's not going to be any extreme one way or the other. Heavy for caliber bullets with a Sierra tipped Game King, which is usually a pretty accurate bullet. So I honestly think that this was actually a good move for Barnes. I think that at first I was a little skeptical, but the more I did the research on what and why, and then ultimately seeing the price versus what they're selling right now, I think they're going to sell some ammo now. I really do. I think that a lot of people in the past have looked at Barnes as like a premier premium option. And it's one of those that you look at the shelf, you're like, yeah, it's great, but I don't need that. I'll grab a box of Power Shocks. Well, now you're going to be a contender for those guys that just want to go spend 20, 30 bucks on a box of ammo, go kill a deer or two, and be done with it. So guys, let me know in the comment section what you think about the new Harvest Collection from Barnes. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel if you're not already. Until next time, y'all be safe.